Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here. Welcome to the Stinkin Truth podcast. My partner, Mike Evans, right there. Make sure you download the show, share it with your friends. Hit the subscribe, even though I don't put the subscribe button up there. Hit that. I know you can do it. Yeah, I have faith in you guys. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. I want to know how you are doing as you were back in Green Bay last week.
Yes,
calling
I was.
a preseason game, and I wonder, still some awkward, hurt feelings after what happened in Super Bowl 32?
You know that I'm walking through the parking lot, getting into the stadium, pregame, and there are people out there, doing their thing, having some beers, eating some bratwurst. I got offered a few beers. I thought I turned down the beers because I thought potentially poisoned, right? Because after the ass whooping, the 20-point ass whooping we put on the Packers in that Super Bowl 32, I was at 32, still hurt? Still hurt? Yeah, put that.
You didn't win by 20. You won by like 7.
No, we won by 20. We're 13-point underdogs.
Oh, here we go.
We won by 7. It's like a 20-point beatdown.
Yeah. Mark Schlereth math, everybody.
Yeah. So, I'm going to put it on you guys.
While you were there in Green Bay, did you stop by Jack's USA Pub?
No.
Apparently, that's going to be the place to be because during the season, they are saying they will pay your bar tab if the Jets lose and Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback. Boy, you got that hate in your heart. Let it out, huh?
Well, no, wait a minute. This is like one of your bets where you bet I'll get a tattoo of Tebow and you don't have anything that you're getting in return for it. Like this is just straight. You can't lose that bet. Like you can't if you go to that bar and you're with your buddies and you're watching NFL football and you're drinking all day. And the Jets win with Aaron Rodgers, you just pay your tab, but you had fun. You were with your buddies all day. You watched a bunch of football. You got away out of the house chores. But if the Jets lose, you do all the same things, but then your bar tab gets paid. That's like a no-lose proposition. Just go to Jack's. What was it? Jack's what?
Jack's USA Pub, I think, yeah.
Jack's USA Pub. Yeah. Just go to Jack's.
What about, I know you were there to call the game for Seattle local TV, but you were there. You were picking up on the Packer vibe a little bit. Is there going to be life after Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I think one of the guys that you always do this during the preseason. You're like, hey, guy most likely to exceed expectations. I think a guy that is likely to exceed expectations is Jordan Love. I think right now the expectations are low. I don't think anybody believes after you went from Favre to Aaron Rodgers that Jordan Love is going to be the next guy. I think Jordan Love will have this Green Bay Packer team competitive in the NFC North. I think he's going to be pretty damn good. And there's a process that went on, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers all those years, and I think you can mope and you can maybe early on know that you're not really going to play. They don't really have a plan for you, so maybe you don't address it as professionally as you should. You still are, but there are things you could probably do over the top of that. And I think Jordan Love did. I talked to him last year in a game I called. They were going to play the Chicago Bears. I was down on the field, and I ended up talking to Jordan Love, watching his film and how much better he was. And I talked to Aaron Rodgers about that. And I think there was a kind of a moment last year where he realized, man, I have to continue to work, continue to get better. I think you always realize that, but there does come this crossroads in your career. I think Jordan Love is going to be a guy that exceeds expectations.
Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers showing he still has a little bit of bite from the Hard Knocks episode, the most recent one. He got into it with the Giants' Jahad Ward after Ward took a little love tap on Rodgers after a throw, and Rodgers was like, "Hey man, what are you doing?
Right.
Show some respect, right?"
Right.
And Ward says, "I don't know you, bro," and Rodgers was like, "BS, you don't know me. I don't know you." And then Rodgers was really full of him, really happy with himself when he came back.
Right,
to the sideline.
That's an uncomebackable, like something like that, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I gave him a line. It's uncomebackable.
Yeah. I don't know who you are, bro. I've never heard of you. That's what Aaron Rodgers said that to him. So, but it was, a little bit late, like you talked about, love tap. Aaron Rodgers took umbrage with it, and I don't know who you are, bro, or I've never heard of you, bro. And, Jihad Ward is one of those guys who's, I think, the 5th overall pick out of Oregon to the Giants. He had a game last year where he was, player of the year. I think it was against Washington where he was player of the week, and he was amazing. But kind of an up and down rookie season, as most rookie seasons are for guys. You kind of learn how to play. You have that one kind of breakout game, and then people adjust to what you did, and then they shut you down for a while. And so I will say this, plays with a great motor, plays very hard. I think he has potential to be a really good player for the Giants. So, but that is one of those things. Like when you hear that, you act like it doesn't hurt. Like you act like it doesn't, reach down and poke you in the soul a little bit. But when Aaron Rodgers goes, dude, I've never heard of you. I don't know who you are. That hurts a little bit. There's no question it hurts a little bit.
I know we're running the risk of making too big of a deal of this, but I wonder if it is important that Rodgers is acting this way, because there was a perception last year that he kind of was checked out a little bit in Green Bay. Emotionally, mentally, was just kind of over it. And that this move to the Jets has really rejuvenated him. And is this an example of that?
Right. Doesn't it feel like that Aaron Rodgers went from a situation where he was just scrutinized, bad media, the whole, hey, I'm immunized, and the ghee butter retreats and everything, to where, and taking the most money of any quarter and like all that stuff with the Packers, and then leaving there and giving money back to the Jets and, really connecting with teammates and being out with, young guys and all that kind of stuff. I didn't feel like he is completely flipped. It's almost a Tom Brady after he wins the Super Bowl in Tampa and he's drunk and they're helping him off the boats, where all of a sudden he became like, he's my guy. He's real. Like he's just a guy's guy. Like I can relate to him. Like Aaron Rodgers became more relatable since he's been to the Jets. The last 3 years at Green Bay, not so much, but being with the Jets, it's just become more relatable and almost a guy that I think even if you hate Aaron Rodgers, you almost kind of cheer for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers to do something.
Meanwhile, this is a tough question. Can you explain to me what Jerry Jones is thinking and what messages he conveying? He trades for Trey Lance without apparently talking to Mike McCarthy or Dak Prescott about it. Then he follows up by saying, hey, we should have drafted Jalen Hurts. What is going on here in Cowboy land?
Well, let me just be very clear on this. This is why, maybe get it. Yeah, we're on a single shot. Okay, this is why the Cowboys will never win shit, because Jerry Jones can't help himself. I said it. It's there. You think about Jerry Jones. You're going to go out there and you're going to make a trade for a guy without talking to anybody else in your organization. Stephen Jones, your head coach, Mike McCarthy, your quarterback. Listen, I really don't care if you involve your quarterback in it or not. But to not involve your head coach, what does it say about your head coach? Hey, guys, I know he's your head coach, but he truly has no authority within this organization, so you don't have to listen to him. You don't have to pay attention, because the buck stops with me. Your coach doesn't have the authority to fire you. I do. You cannot win in the National Football League that way, because as soon as something goes down in a game, or maybe you don't agree with the coach's decision, you don't agree with the play calls, you don't agree with it going on fourth down or the 2-point cover, whatever it is, the fact that you emasculated him makes you as a player question him. It's amazing the difference between having a guy that has full authority from ownership and that dude is in charge, and I played for two of those guys, Joe Gibbs, Mike Shanahan. Ain't no question who's in charge. Buck stops with those two. And you never crossed them. You never even thought about crossing them, because you knew ultimately they'd fire you in a heartbeat without thinking about it. The fact that Jerry Jones consistently emasculates his coaches, consistently usurps their authority, consistently, essentially, blatantly disregards them, is the reason, one of the big reasons, the Cowboys won't win anything. Oh, they may win a bunch of regular season games because they're talented, but they'll get in the playoffs and they'll shit in their helmets like they do every year. That's the Cowboys.
Okay. The method of doing it is certainly something that you can question. But what about the message that's trying to be conveyed to Dak Prescott? I think I'm speaking for Cowboy fans out there. They're kind of
sure.
They're up to about here with Dak. It's time, right? Mm-hmm. Is this a way, bringing in a guy like Trey Lance, just to remind Dak, hey, it's time to get going. It's time to go to that next level.
Well, is the Trey Lance going to show up that's been playing for San Francisco for the last 3 years? The guy that they traded up to get, the guy that they moved from 12 to 3 to get and gave up 3 first-rounders, is that the guy showing up? The guy that basically, was injured but didn't win the job? The guy that basically couldn't beat out not only Sam Darnold, who's been ousted from 2 different teams, the Jets and the Carolina Panthers? He couldn't beat him out. The same guy that couldn't beat out Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, is that the guy showing up? Because if that's the guy showing up that you're planning on putting pressure on Dak Prescott, there is no pressure. You're actually empowering Dak Prescott to say, nope, you're going to have to pay me more money. Matter of fact, I want to renegotiate my contract because this guy, the guy you think's going to put pressure on me, is so bad that I want more money. I don't think anything that Jerry Jones has done here is helpful to the franchise. Sure, you hope that that talent that was talented enough to get drafted 3rd overall. You hope that talent, transforms into being a football player. But I always say this: talent's wasted on talented people. I want a guy that can produce. I want a guy that's a football player. I want a guy who understands what's going on. I want a guy that's going to compete his ass off. There's more to it. I always say this: football is really hard for athletes. It's easy for football players. And as of right now, Trey Lance has not proven to be a quote-unquote NFL football player yet. Now, maybe this is a wake-up call, or maybe he transforms, or, maybe it's just hasn't been in the right place, or whatever the case may be. But I've seen Kyle Shanahan win with less talented quarterbacks. So is that an indictment on Kyle Shanahan, or is it an indictment on Trey Lance? I mean, bottom line, we're talking about Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones, the way his organization works, the way he has structured it, he is the grand poobah of all things football. And therefore, your head coach is never empowered. And a franchise that doesn't have empowered head coach can't win.
So to be clear, as long as Jerry Jones continues to be the owner and general manager, hold a couple of press conferences every week, do a radio show.
They will
never win.
Nope. They're not going to win a championship. Isn't that what it's? If you're the Cowboys, isn't that's what it's about?
Should be. Used to be.
Last time they won, Jimmy Johnson's organization. Now, I get Barry Switzer for a year.
You and I could have won with that team.
That team was really freaking good. Really ridiculous. But yeah, that's that's. I don't believe in the organizational structure that they have. I don't believe it's conducive to winning a championship.
As of this conversation right now, the New England Patriots have 1 quarterback.
Oh,
Mac Jones.
Right.
They waived Bailey Zappi. They have 1 quarterback. Talk about job security for Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. What is Bill Belichick? What's his plan? What's he going to do?
Well, he went he's last year he had coordinators on the offensive side of the ball that never coached offense, right?
Matt Patricia and Joe Judge.
Eventually, what was old becomes new again. You see where I'm going here?
Oh, really?
Yes. Wing T, no quarterback. Eventually, he's going to get rid of Squishy Mac, and he's not going to carry any quarterbacks.
No quarterbacks
on the team. We are direct snapping to a running back. We're going to have 3 guys in there, and we're going to get that announcer that goes, the boys in blue are back. You get one of those old guy announcers.
Yeah, running the wing T.
Yeah, here come the boys in blue. They're in the wing T. Right.
Seriously. What is he doing?
I don't.
Is it just that if you think about some of the quarterbacks that are out there that have been waived lately, maybe there were just better options? Colt McCoy, Will Greer, Kellen Mond,
Will Greer
guys
signed,
like that.
He signed somewhere.
Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals,
squad,
right.
but-
Yeah, he probably looks at it. But wasn't Bailey Zappi the guy that everybody seemed to fall in love with last year for a while?
They were chanting his name in Foxborough.
Yeah, Max feeling pretty good right now. Except that would be a weird quarterback meeting room. You're the only guy in there. Who are you going to bounce stuff off of?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. You're just role playing with yourself.
Bring in like an old Patriot quarterback every week just to sit in. 1 week it's Steve Grogan.
Yeah.
Your buddy Hugh Millen could come in for a week.
That's right. Who's our guy?
Zolak.
Zolak. You sit with Zolak over there. He's got
Staring
this
that giant head.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, it's going to be, obviously they'll pick some guys up off the waiver wire or a couple of older free agents that are floating around. They'll fill the room up. But it is weird when you think about, and I'm sure Bill O'Brien, their new coordinator who was there in the past, has got a couple of guys that he likes that, speak his language, that can handle his way of coaching. So I'm sure they've got a plan, but it does feel weird to cut everybody. Did you see Brady came back and said, hey, heard you got some space up there? You see his little video he made?
Did he, mate? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just throwing chum into the water.
Yeah.
Man. That's just getting. Well, but here's the serious, because you're right. The Patriots will have a full quarterback room, but here's the bigger issue, and people back that way will know that this is being talked about. That Bill Belichick is on the hot seat. That Bob Kraft has come out and said he expects this team to be back in the playoffs this year. Not only back in the playoffs, but to make a run in the playoffs. Right. What's the implication? That if they don't, Belichick in trouble?
I can't imagine Belichick being in trouble, but I can't imagine him being on notice. Like, if this year is not a playoff year and they're not trending in the right direction, midway through the season and beyond, that there are going to be some, potential consequences listed, if you will, if we don't get this thing rectified and start moving. I will say this. The Jets feel like they've got that energy, right? The Jets feel like they're a legit playoff contender. Everybody says Buffalo. Right? Everybody talks about Buffalo and Josh Allen and da-da-da-da. But I felt like there was a bit of a regression last year for Josh Allen. And I don't know about you, but it feels to me like some things are falling apart. Von Miller's going to be on IR for the first 4 weeks. His knee after that ACL, hasn't responded all the way yet or whatever. He's not quite ready. Stephon Diggs is disgruntled. We always say you want a gruntled guy, but it just feels like they're starting to fracture from within a little bit, and it's almost like that window is in Buffalo feels like it's starting to close. So the division. Nobody trusts Miami and Tua. I mean, you'd like to trust them. You'd think they're really. They're really talented, but there's just that concussion issue. And is Tua really the guy? And Ryan Clark called him fat, and I don't know if he called him fat. He said, what did he say? He was chubby or he's out of shape? Or
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Yeah. And Tua fires back because there's a little bit of sensitivity there. I don't know. It just feels like.
Well, you've already said it. You've been on record for quite some time that you think the Jets win the division.
Yeah, I thought it was neck and neck with Buffalo and the Jets. And I think if I had to pick today who wins that division based on my just uneasy feeling about where the Bills are right now, I'm going to take the Jets.
Final thought on Belichick. 3 years without Brady, 25-25. At some point.
So you're saying a quarterback matters?
Well, does Bob Kraft arrive at that same conclusion and say, hey, here's a chance to maybe regain control of my franchise. Mm-hmm. Bring in a new way of doing things.
So it's been 3 years. So is this
Cam Newton with 1 and 2 with Mac?
This is Mac's 3rd year, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So maybe you want to amend that? Belichick coaching for his job?
No, I think he's got one more year. I think this year, then next year he goes on notice. Could you imagine?
I know. Mike Shanahan was supposed to be coach for life.
That's right.
In Denver.
That's right. Till he got fired. It happens to us all. Eventually they catch up to you.
Eventually they get you.
Yeah.
Bengals coach Zach Taylor says, don't read too much into Joe Burrow not practicing. Has nothing to do with him not having a new contract yet.
Yeah, I buy that.
You do?
Yeah.
In a time where these quarterbacks are getting taken care of. Justin Herbert just got paid. The idea was that Herbert and Burrow are going to get done almost, back to back simultaneously. It hasn't happened yet with Burrow.
No. I believe it'll happen with Burrow. Boy, Cincinnati's. I mean, I know it's going to happen with Burrow. The problem that you get into is, will Cincinnati pay other guys? Mm-hmm. Will they take care of other guys, or will they just give the money to Burrow and then go, ooh, we don't want to, because like that contract, you can manipulate that, you can spread it out and you can keep renegotiating it and stuff, and you can get that to a manageable number for Burrow with all this new money. But are you going to use it as an excuse to keep your operating budget low so that you can pocket more money?
Be blunt question, blunt answer. From the days you were a player to all the years you've been a
yes,
commentator,
the answer is
the
yes.
reputation of the Bengals.
The answer is yes.
The answer is
cheap.
Yes. Cheap. Yeah.
That's whether like the reality of it, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. The perception is they're cheap. They always have been. They always will be. And the perception becomes the reality. It's one of those things that until you're not, until you prove it, until you pay your quarterback and you pay your receivers and you pay your, and you go out and win championships and you pay your coaches, until you prove otherwise, that the reputation is going to follow you around, even if you change it to a degree. Like losing franchises and franchises that have consistently lost, they can have that year or two where they're actually, where they actually win, but you still look at them, a little bit side-eyed and go, I don't know. I don't trust them. I don't trust those guys. So there you go.
Are the Arizona Cardinals tanking?
Now that, I've heard of that a lot. And, Jonathan Gannon's a young coach, and this is on his resume. Okay, he's a young coach, and I think the expectations are low. I saw a power ranking today. They're 32 out of 32, okay? So the power ranking is not that great. I've talked to Jonathan Gannon over the last 2 weeks several times. One thing that I know about Gannon and young coaches and young players is you got to put it on film. You got to go out there. And so if you're not out there at 100% trying to win and trying to play, like not only are you going to get your ass beat, but you're going to injure yourself. And then you're putting it on film for the whole league to see. You go out and embarrass yourself. So is Jonathan Gannon going to try to win? Damn right. Now, he can't do much about the players they give him. And I know one thing, they're trying to get back to NFL football. So they're going to run. They hired a guy named, I think is Drew Pensing, is their offense coordinator. He comes from the Kubiak kind of some of that Minnesota school. They're going to run wide zone. They're going to run some gap plays. They're going to try to control the line of scrimmage. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to try to win that way on both sides of the ball. have to manage whatever quarterback they have. I mean, they cut their starter at the end of preseason, Colt McCoy. Just said, hey, man, you're an old guy, you're a journeyman guy. And
what does that signal?
I mean, really, to me, more of this, and I know it's the whole Caleb Williams sweepstake, right? But what's the message to Kyler Murray? I mean, they already tried to put a pay attention / homework clause in his contract, and now they're basically going, yeah, you're on IR for the first 4 weeks. We'll see you when we see you. Don't rush yourself back. It's not a big deal. Like they are, I know the players and I know the coaches are going to bust their ass to win games. It goes back to Lovie Smith. Remember Lovie Smith coaching for the Houston Texans, and if they just lost the last game of the season or whatever it was, they were going to get the first overall pick, and they went out and they won it, and Lovie get dumped and everything else. But man, it means something to you as a player and a coach. That's on your ultimately. You know what? If Jonathan Gannon goes out there and doesn't prepare his team, and they don't play hard, and they just go out there like that, eventually he's going to get fired anyhow. And then all of a sudden on your resume, you got a 1-16 record, or 0-17, or
2-15,
2-15. You can't overcome that, and that will be on your record for the rest of your career.
Well, let me ask you then. Let me separate Mark Schlereth, the former player, from Mark Schlereth, the commentator. The commentator, tanking is the right way to go for Arizona. If you can get a guy like Caleb Williams, who people are saying this is the best surefire, can't-miss prospect to come along since Trevor Lawrence. Sean Payton, who knows a fair thing or two about quarterbacks, says this guy is legit.
Yeah.
So it's worth it. They should try to lose. It's worked for a lot of NBA and NHL and Major League Baseball teams. Why not a football team?
I disagree. I don't. Surefire doesn't mean anything to me. Kyler Murray was the number 1 overall pick. They thought he was surefire.
No, there's a difference. There's a difference. Kyler Murray was not talked about coming out the same way that Caleb Williams is being talked about.
Okay, well, I mean, Ryan Leaf was talked about as a surefire. No offense to Ryan, he's a friend, but there's a lot of guys. Let me tell you this: there are guys who are surefire, going to be great Hall of Famer type guys that go into crappy organizations. So if your whole organization's about, hey, we're going to saddle you with crappy players, coach, and other players on this roster, and it's going to hurt you because we're not going to be any good, then what? All of a sudden that's the culture we're creating, and all of a sudden we're going to flip the switch because we got Caleb Williams and he's going to be great and he's going to lead us to the promised land. Odds are he'll fail too. So I just don't agree. I don't agree with that, with the thought process of this guy's going to save our lives, our franchise, and all this, that, and the other. Sorry, I don't buy into that. I've seen so many guys that are supposed to be great players that are surefire, that can't miss. This guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame, that can't play dead in a Western. So go ahead and create that culture at your own peril, because the odds of one dude coming in and fixing it is not very good. My opinion. Anyhow, hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you guys. For Mike, I am Mark, and we'll be back with you later on in the week.